from Edward Everett Hale. I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do. And the second is 560. And this is from Dorothy Day. People say, what is the sense of our small effort? They cannot see that we must lay one brick at a time, take one step at a time. A pebble cast into a pond causes ripples that spread in all directions. Each one of our thoughts, words, and deeds is like that. No one has the right to sit down and feel hopeless. There's too much work to do. So my name is Andy Jacobs. I'm the student minister here, for those of you who don't know. My sermon title today is You Can Pick Your Friends and You Can Pick Your Cause. You can't pick your friend's cause. And I chose that sermon title mostly because it seems like the last sermon I did was a little heavy, and I wanted to be a little bit more lighthearted with this one, but also because I think that it's important in the times that we live in to remember that the friends that we choose are the people that we choose to be around. The causes that we choose are in an effort to create the ends that we want to live in, right? Sometimes those are not together. And so the problem is that you can't force your friends to participate in your cause, right? In fact, they're probably not going to be your friend for very long if you keep pushing it. However, if they're your friend, theoretically, they want to participate in your life. And so them supporting you ends up supporting your cause and you supporting them vice versa. That's where we're going with this. So I want to start with the fact that friends may not seem like a choice, but they really are. I don't know how many of you remember being small children and being forced to go to someone's house to play because your parents decided you were going to be best friends. But if you participated in that experience, then you're well aware that friendship is something that kind of organically creates itself to a certain extent. There's only so much force that's available. However, as you become older and entrenched in friendships, I guess that would be the way to put it, there often comes a reckoning with friends, especially the longer you've been in that relationship, right? A point at which you have to make a decision. Am I still choosing to be in this relationship, or is this relationship kind of chosen me to continue? It's kind of dragging me behind it, right? And it doesn't always happen. Sometimes you get to grow very closely with your friend. My wife and I are like that, right? We've grown to be great friends, and we've grown together. Our goals and dreams are similar and the same, and they become more and similar and the same the longer we're together. We've had conflict and problems, but right now, today, we're moving forward in a way that we want to be, right? Friendships are the same way. I don't know how many of you guys have friends that you've had an argument with and are never talking to you again, and then like a week later you're like, well, we're not talking, but we still need to get coffee. It's the way it goes, right? Sometimes friendships have to weather those kinds of arguments just so that the friendship can maintain itself for the integrity of the individuals that are participating in the friendship. I think it's important to be as authentic to yourself as possible, and friendships really help to bolster that authenticity. In a congregation on number 3, accepting one another and encouraging our spiritual growth, I think friendship is very similar to that. The friends that we choose should be the people that are encouraging us to be the most authentic selves we are. The people that are pushing us to be better than who we might be right now, but to be the best person that they know we can be, right? I've talked before about the way that relationships have to change over time, specifically like relationships between parents and children. I'm not a big fan of full-grown adult parents who are best friends with their 6-year-old kids, right? I think that there needs to be more parenting that's involved there than friendship. But I want to raise my kids to be my friends. Because one day they're going to be able to make decisions on their own. And decisions that I might not personally agree with or participate in. However, as their friend, I want to be able to support them to become the best, most authentic people they can be. Now, right now, it's just about getting them to bed on time and making sure they eat all their vegetables. But eventually, they'll be making those decisions on their own. And I hope that the decisions that they make are going to be ones that are going to make them better, more authentic people. I don't want to be a parent that's encouraging my children to develop into somebody that's going to be antithetical to their self-authenticity. How does that work? I don't know. Maybe giving your kids money every time they ask, maybe never saying no, maybe not setting limits or boundaries, maybe allowing your kids to spend too much time on computers. That's really not what this conversation's about. But what I want us to think about is that friends are a choice, and we get to make that choice, right? Now, I want to talk about causes. Implied in the word is that it's going to affect something in the future, right? So what is your cause? And I hope that your cause is something that makes you more authentic you. Just like your friendship, the cause that you participate in becomes who you are in the world and how you're represented. And I know that seems strange that, maybe your cause is being a big fan of animal shelters, right? Well, when you leave your day job and go out and participate in the world, you're participating to help save and be more humane to animals. That's a great thing. Can you drag your friends into that and force them to do it? No, but you could probably solicit them for cash funds or help. You could probably get them to click on your Facebook link so you get enough clicks to say, yeah, I like Sarah McLachlan. I want to make sure that those animals are given shelter. It's okay. The great thing about the diversity of our congregation and our culture in general is that each individual one of us can have our own righteous cause, right? We can have our own dream that we need to follow that motivates and pushes us. In the end, your cause isn't a choice. Your cause, for me as an artist, you're compelled. You cannot deny the action. It has to happen. Now, hopefully, that cause for you is something that is making you a more authentic you. Hopefully, that cause is something that's helping other people become more authentic as well. But it could just as easily be your cause is to go and buy shoes at the mall every day. Your cause could be showing up to work so you can make as much money as you can make so you can go home and sit in your really expensive home surrounded by really expensive things. The cause itself isn't inherently good. That's why you need to really look at what your cause is that drives you. How are you supporting that cause? I heard a fantastic interview with a modern philosopher named Peter Singer. Does anybody know who Peter Singer is?
Yes.
Okay. And Peter Singer puts forward an idea of effective altruism. The story that he says, okay, there's a young girl, 3 or 4, who's hit by a car in traffic in China. And the news story goes that 3 or 4 people passed the injured girl on the side of the road before somebody finally stopped to help the girl and get her to the hospital. But by the time she was brought to the hospital, it was too late and she passed away from her injuries. It's a very sad story. So he tells this story to a TED Talk group. And he asks the TED Talk group, how many of you here would have walked past that child? Well, yeah, nobody's going to raise their hand, right? Everybody in the room wants to help that kid. And I don't think that that's irregular. We all want to help. Then his comment that follows is 19,000 kids die a day from malaria. So, if we're concerned about the one kid hit by the car on the side of the road, then shouldn't we be just as concerned, or 19,000 times more concerned about the kids dying of malaria every day? Is it effective to be the Good Samaritan on the side of the road and save the one kid? Or is it more effective altruism to be funding mosquitonet.org to send mosquito nets to Africa so that every child has a mosquito net over their bed, which has been proven scientifically to drastically reduce the amount of malaria, children contract malaria and then hence die from it. His idea of effective altruism is that you need to find a cause, but once you find that cause, how can you, in all of your talent and capacity, best serve that cause? Is your money best served to save starving children? To send $1 to UNICEF? Or is your money best served to go and become a Wall Street tycoon who makes tons of cash like Bill Gates? Well, he's not a Wall Street tycoon. But become an affluent financier who has huge amounts of money and start your own nonprofit. Right? Where do your talents lie? He makes the argument that it doesn't matter what you choose to do with you. It matters that you find the distilled, most effective way to get the most help to your cause. It's macro, not micro. Now, I personally do not live and participate in compassion that way. I'm not very good at it. it seems distancing to me to have a credit card and send $10 off to some organization somewhere, even if $9.99 of that $10 gets to where it needs to go. I find it more effective to walk out my door and help the people that are next door, that help the people that are in my congregation, help the people that are on my street, right? But what Peter Singer is trying to get us to think about is that if you are that six-figure salary and you're taking an hour off of work every day of the week to go and feed the hungry, that hour you're taking off of work, the money that you produce in that hour could more effectively go to feed more people if you work the hour and donated the funds to the shelter. And allow somebody who is not making that kind of wage, or somebody whose earned income doesn't equivalent, does that make sense? So, working the hour, spending the money to pay people to serve the food, ends up serving more food to more people than you going and actually ladling it into the bowls. It was cracking my mind open to think about this concept. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't be out there physically doing things. It means that we need to think about the way that we direct our energy and efforts. Singer quotes that $350 billion are raised in the United States every year in donations. The federal government gives $60 billion in foreign aid a year. If that gives you an idea of how large that number is. His point is that if you're really going to give money, then you need to really invest in understanding what that money's doing and where you're sending it to. Because if that $365 billion was funneled in the right way, in a year, we can make sure that everybody's getting water, everybody's getting food, everybody's got mosquito nets, everybody's getting access to medicine, right? Unfortunately, we have an awful lot of issues in which we donate money to a cause that we really feel compassionate about, but the money itself doesn't really make a dent in that cause. So, when we were, for instance, helping with the No Doubt protesters in North Dakota, it wasn't helpful to just send them clothes, right? We needed to know what they needed there. They didn't just need, they needed tents. They needed rain gear because they were being splashed and hosed down with water that was freezing on their bodies. They needed access to Easy Ignite fire kits. They needed access to quilts and blankets, far more than they needed jeans or warm socks or long underwear. Okay? It doesn't help to just give blindly. We need to concentrate on giving accurately so that the effectiveness of our altruism is maximized. And that brings me back to you can pick your friends and you can pick your cause, but you can't pick your friend's cause. There are ways that you can convince your friends to participate in what drives you. And hopefully, because they're your friends, they're enthusiastic about your joy as much as you're enthusiastic about theirs. And sometimes those joys link, right? You're friends because you both like the same sports together, or you both like the same reading, or you both like to go to the same movies, or, I don't know, you're friends because you enjoy dating, right? There's all kinds of great reasons to be friends. But the individuality of society gives us an opportunity to focus that altruistic cause through a diverse amount of people. And so the choice for friendship, I think, is more important and hinged on whether you can accept your friends' causes as their own than whether or not you need to accept their causes as your own, or they need to accept yours, right? So I have a wide variety of friends that are not politically aligned with me. I have a wide variety of friends who I think are pretty archaic in their understanding of the way that human relations work, whether that's for the LGBTQ community, or that's for feminism, or that's for education. Education's a different sermon. We're going to have that one another day. But we are friends because without that friendship, I do not have an opportunity to have that dialogue. It is difficult for me to carte blanche blanket an entire movement as evil, wrong, and error without having contact with the people within the movement. That doesn't mean I want to talk to and be friends with every single one of them. But it does mean that the friendships that I have within there, as long as it is still possible for me to be my authentic self within that relationship, I think they have value. Now, I think when the friendship erodes your authentic self, then it's time to reevaluate and assess whether or not that friendship is worth your authenticity as well as your goals for your cause. My cause is this congregation. This is where I put my donated dollar. This is where I put my volunteer time. This is how I work to participate in my community. And hopefully my participation in that community helps to uplift you and give you guys access to your causes. I like to show up for the Halloween carnival raffle stuff and I pop my trunk and fill it with candy like the next guy. But I'm not going to organize the Halloween carnival. That's not going to happen. And I love participating in Norman United, and I still send my vote that way, and I send my participation, I send my food occasionally. But I don't get to go to meetings very often because it doesn't fit in with the other things I need to do. Causes for me are about what I can do to help that be better. And sometimes my rear end in a seat isn't helping it be better. Sometimes my voice in the room is not helping it be better. It's important to remember, as we participate in the variety of different movements in the world, that support does not always dictate access to voice, right? Sometimes support is being able to keep your mouth shut so that those that are voicing their cause can be heard. So there we go. You can pick your friends, and you can pick your cause. But you can't pick your friend's cause. You can probably give them money for their cause, and they give you money for yours, but forcing that ideology is difficult. And when you begin to butt heads to push it, it's more likely you're going to lose the friendship and gain a companion in the cause. I guess that's all I have to say about it. I just want us to remember that when we go out in the world, unlike other congregations and churches in which you get to be a light for your community, we are lights for ourselves. And those lights are held up by our community. Okay? So find your cause, find your friends. Thank you.